Alright, it's time to work on Illustrator Play number 2, which as you can see is all about the brushes. You're going to use at least 4 different brushes. You have to use a different color for each of your 4 different brushes. I want you to use the brushes as stamps as well as brush strokes, so I'll show you what that means. And then this is really important, you have to add a new layer for each brush that you work with. Don't worry, I'll explain in the video. You're going to double click each layer to change the layer style on that layer. Alright, so let's go to Illustrator now. Here is my Illustrator Play 2. I'm going to go ahead and start with a blank canvas. You want to start with the paintbrush tool, not the blob brush tool. We'll do that eventually, but we're going to start with the paintbrush tool. And over here, you want to click on Properties and Brush. Now there's lots of different brushes, so if I click on this little drop down arrow, it really only shows me a few, but I want more options. So if I go to this little book thing here that says Library, there are several different things. So let's check out Decorative, Elegant Curl and Floral Brush Set. Let's click on that. And this window pops up. And I can see that there are all of these kinds of brushes. That's kind of cool. But you know what? I'm going to go back here to the brushes and the library. And I'm going to choose Artistic Paint Brush, Watercolor? I don't know. Let's just pick something. Artistic Watercolor. Okay, and these are all different watercolor brushes. So you can see how you can choose different brushes. So we have to use 4 different brushes, 4 different colors, but remember that thing about the layers? Add a new layer for each brush you work with. What does that mean? Okay, so step 1, get a paintbrush. Step 2, pick one of the brush styles. For now, I'm just going to check with this one. I'm just going to pick this mop one. And whatever you pick for the stroke, the outline, that's going to be the color of your brush. So I'm going to go ahead and do some light blue. And now it's time for me to look at layers. So we were on Properties. Now you're going to click on this Layers tab. And we're on this layer right here. There's nothing to add to it. There's only one layer. So I've got my paintbrush. It's blue. It's the mop tool. And now I'm just going to draw some cool looking clouds. And that one looks kind of neat, and maybe over here is another cloud. Okay, so you can see this says layer 1 now, and it's got my 3 different clouds on it. If I go here to the corner, I can choose new layer, and I'm going to call it layer 2. And I'm going to say okay. So now layer 1 is blue, layer 2 is red, but it's blank, so now I get to pick a different brush. I like this decorative scatter option. So how did I get there? I go to Properties, I go to Brushes, I go to my library, and I can go to Decorative, and there's Decorative Scatter, and when I click on that, this window opens up. So I think for Decorative Scatter, I think maybe I'm going to choose this confetti one. And I'm not going to pick a color because it already has color in it. And I can see that I'm on layer 1, and I've got my confetti brush. So now I'm just going to paint some pretty confetti through my screen. Okay, so that's 2 brushes. Okay, we got to repeat this again. New layer. This one's going to be green. That just helps us distinguish the different ones. So okay. So you can see that I've got my path there, and I've got my clouds. So now it's layer 3. I go back to Properties. I'm going to pick a different brush. I'm going to go ahead and choose this stamp looking one. It's denim, so it's supposed to look like your denim jeans. And I'm just going to paint through here. Look at that. It looks like a seam from somebody's pants. Woo! Don't rip your pants. Okay, that's silly. I'm being weird. So I go back to layers, and I can see that all of my denim brushes are there. Last time, I go here, I choose new layer. I say okay. So now I have 4 layers and they're different colors. I go back to Properties, and I'm going to pick a 4th brush. So we did the mop, we did the denim, we did this one, the confetti, And I think I'm just going to use this charcoal feather, and I'm going to make it a different color. So I'm going to use a charcoal feather, I'm going to make it yellow, and I'm going to make it a thicker brush stroke. So if I make this a bigger number, that should make my brush thicker. So I have a bigger number, and I picked the color yellow, and I picked my brush stroke, and there's my, ooh, that made it very thick. So that was going to be like my sun. Ooh, sun in the clouds, but that's, I don't know how I feel about that. So we go to layers. I have 4 layers. I've used 4 different brushes. I've used different colors. And now I better check this. Think about design and work with balance on this one. So balance means that not all of my stuff is in one corner, that it's sort of spread throughout. You know what? I don't like how this turned out. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to take this arrow. I'm going to hold down on my mouse and draw a box over everything on the screen. So now they're all selected. And I'm going to hit delete and start over because I don't like how that turned out. Now I have an idea for what I want to do. Now I think I'm going to start on layer 1, and I'm going to grab the brush tool, and I think I'm going to make clouds with a light blue. I'll try this one. Oh, that didn't turn out blue, did it? Control Z is undo. I'm going to pick a different color. Let's see. Oh, I want to make those thicker. That's too thick. Alright, so I have a plan. I'm going to do clouds, I'm going to do the sun, I'm going to have grass, and that way there's something on each part of my screen, and each one of my brushes will be different. It's up to you what you do, but do try to make it artistic, make it something that you're proud of, and then don't forget to go to File and Save. So that's Illustrator Play number 2. I walked you through number 1. And next up, the next video, we're going to learn how to do Illustrator Play number 3, which is about using text.